All right, picture this. You're single, thriving most days, and doing life on your own terms. People keep asking, so, when are you going to settle down? As if being single is some kind of waiting room for real life to begin. But here's the truth. The longer you stay single, the more you change in ways you never expected. And not just in how you date, but in how you think, act, and even who you become. Today, we're diving into 5 surprising ways flying solo actually transforms you, whether you realize it or not. Let's get in. Being single for an extended period changes you in ways that most people don't expect. And one of the most profound transformations is the development of unshakable independence. At first, being single might feel like a temporary phase, something you're moving through until the right person comes along. But over time, you start to realize that your ability to handle life on your own isn't just a necessity. It's a superpower. You stop waiting for someone else to help you solve problems, to make you feel secure, or to validate your choices. You begin to rely on yourself in ways that most people never have to, and that changes the way you move through the world. One of the first things you notice is that you stop second-guessing your own decisions. When you're in a relationship, it's natural to check in with your partner about everything, from what to have for dinner to major life choices like where to live or what job to take. But when you're single, there's no one else's opinion to consider except your own. At first, this can feel daunting, but over time, it forces you to develop an inner trust that most people never fully cultivate. You learn to listen to your own intuition, to weigh your options without outside pressure, and to make choices that genuinely align with your values and desires. This level of self-trust becomes one of your greatest strengths, allowing you to move through life with confidence and clarity. Another surprising change is how capable you become at handling challenges. When you're in a relationship, it's easy to lean on a partner for support, whether it's fixing a leaky faucet, assembling furniture, or dealing with an unexpected crisis. But when you're single, you quickly realize that if something needs to get done, it's up to you. You don't have the luxury of outsourcing your problems to a significant other. Instead, you develop the resourcefulness and resilience to figure things out on your own. At first, this might mean watching YouTube tutorials or making a few frustrated phone calls, but eventually, you gain the confidence to tackle just about anything. Over time, you stop seeing challenges as roadblocks and start seeing them as opportunities to prove to yourself just how capable you really are. Financial independence is another area where extended singleness brings transformation. When you're single, your financial well-being rests entirely on your shoulders. There's no one else to split the bills with, no safety net of a second income, and no one else to help make major financial decisions. At first, this can feel overwhelming, but it pushes you to take control of your money in a way that many people in relationships never have to. You become more mindful of your spending, more intentional about saving, and more strategic about planning for the future. You learn to stand on your own 2 feet financially, which not only gives you a sense of security, but also a deep pride in your ability to take care of yourself. Perhaps one of the most unexpected ways long-term singleness shapes your independence is in how you manage your own happiness. In relationships, it's easy to fall into the trap of expecting a partner to provide emotional support, validation, or even entertainment. But when you're single, you realize that your happiness is entirely your own responsibility. You learn how to enjoy your own company, how to fill your time with activities that genuinely bring you joy, and how to cultivate a fulfilling life that isn't dependent on anyone else. You start traveling solo, going out to dinner by yourself without feeling awkward, and pursuing interests simply because they make you happy, not because they fit into someone else's idea of a good time. This ability to create happiness from within makes you incredibly strong because it means you're not waiting for someone else to complete you. You already feel whole on your own. What's interesting is that this deep independence doesn't make you closed off to love. It actually makes you better at it. When you no longer need someone to fill a gap in your life, you become more selective about who you allow in. You stop settling for relationships that don't serve you just to avoid being alone. Instead, you recognize that being alone is actually a powerful place to be. And any relationship you enter has to add value rather than just provide companionship. This shifts your entire perspective on dating and relationships, making you more confident, more self-sufficient, and ultimately more fulfilled. Long-term singleness doesn't just teach you how to survive on your own, it shows you that you thrive on your own. You become someone who trusts themselves, someone who can handle anything life throws their way, and someone who creates their own happiness rather than waiting for it to come from someone else. And that kind of independence, that's something no one can take away from you. Emotional resilience is one of the most powerful transformations that happens when you spend a significant amount of time single. At first, being on your own can feel daunting, especially in a world that often equates relationships with emotional security. Many people assume that having a partner means having a built-in support system, someone to lean on when times get tough. But when you're single for an extended period, you quickly realize that emotional strength isn't something you get from someone else. It's something you build within yourself. Over time, you develop the ability to navigate life's challenges without relying on external validation, and that kind of resilience changes everything. One of the first things you experience is a shift in how you process emotions. In relationships, it's easy to turn to a partner for comfort when you're upset, frustrated, or stressed. While there's nothing wrong with seeking support, being single forces you to become your own source of emotional regulation. Instead of immediately venting to a partner, you learn how to sit with your feelings, understand them, and work through them on your own. This process can be uncomfortable at first because it requires facing difficult emotions head on. But over time, you realize that you are fully capable of handling your own highs and lows without needing someone else to soothe you. This emotional self-sufficiency makes you stronger because it teaches you that no matter what happens, you can handle it. Another way singleness builds emotional resilience is by increasing your ability to cope with loneliness. Many people fear being alone, assuming it means feeling isolated or disconnected. But when you spend a long time single, you start to redefine what loneliness actually means. You learn that being alone doesn't automatically equal loneliness. And you discover that solitude can actually be incredibly fulfilling. At first, there may be moments where you crave companionship, but over time, you start to enjoy your own presence. You develop a deeper relationship with yourself, filling your time with meaningful activities, personal growth, and self-care. This shift is crucial because it allows you to build a life that is emotionally fulfilling on its own, rather than one that depends on the presence of a partner. One of the most unexpected changes is how you start responding to setbacks. Whether it's job loss, personal failure, or emotional disappointment, long-term singleness forces you to develop a level of emotional grit that many people never fully cultivate. In relationships, there's often someone there to soften the blow of life's hardships, to reassure you that things will be okay. But when you're single, you have to learn how to comfort and encourage yourself. You become your own source of motivation, pushing yourself forward even when things feel uncertain. This ability to bounce back without relying on someone else becomes one of your greatest strengths because it means that no matter what happens, you know you have the inner strength to keep going. Another important aspect of emotional resilience is learning how to set and enforce boundaries. When you're single, you have the time and space to reflect on what you truly want and need from the people in your life. You start recognizing the importance of protecting your energy and not allowing just anyone to have access to your emotions. This is a powerful shift because it means that when you do allow people into your life, it's on your terms. You become more discerning about the relationships you invest in, making sure they align with your values and emotional well-being. This skill serves you in every area of life, from friendships to work relationships, because it ensures that you only surround yourself with people who genuinely uplift and support you. What's even more powerful is that this emotional resilience makes you less fearful of love. Many people assume that being single for a long time makes you guarded or emotionally unavailable, but the opposite is often true. Because you've developed such a strong foundation within yourself, you approach relationships with a sense of confidence rather than neediness. You're not looking for someone to complete you or to fix your emotional struggles. You've already done that work yourself. This allows you to enter relationships from a place of strength rather than desperation, ensuring that you build connections that are healthy and fulfilling rather than ones based on insecurity or dependency. Ultimately, the emotional resilience you gain from long-term singleness isn't just about learning how to be okay without a partner. It's about realizing that you are already whole on your own. You develop the ability to handle challenges with grace, to find fulfillment in your own company, and to approach relationships with confidence rather than fear. This transformation makes you unstoppable because it means that no matter what life throws at you, you know you have the strength to face it head on. And that kind of resilience isn't just valuable in relationships. It's a skill that will serve you in every aspect of life. Spending an extended period of time single leads to a profound transformation in self-awareness. When you're in a relationship, it's easy to get caught up in the dynamics of a partnership, compromising, adjusting, and sometimes even losing sight of who you are outside of that connection. But when you're single for a long time, you have no choice but to face yourself in ways that many people never do. Without the influence of a partner shaping your choices, habits, or routines, you begin to see yourself clearly. You start to understand your desires, your fears, your triggers, and the patterns that shape your decisions. This level of self-awareness becomes one of the most powerful gifts of extended singleness, shaping not only your future relationships, but also your overall approach to life. One of the first things that happens when you spend a long time single is that you begin to notice your habits and tendencies without outside influence. In relationships, it's easy to adopt certain routines based on what works for both people. You compromise on things like what time you eat dinner, what shows you watch, or how you spend your weekends. But when you're single, you get to create your own rhythms without having to adjust for someone else. This freedom allows you to discover what truly works for you. Maybe you realize that you love waking up at 5 a.m. to journal and meditate, or that you're most creative at night. Maybe you find that you enjoy solitude more than socializing, or that you thrive in a structured routine rather than spontaneous plans. These discoveries might seem small, but they help you understand what truly makes you happy on a deep level. Another powerful shift in self-awareness comes from understanding your emotional patterns. When you're in a relationship, emotions can sometimes get blurred by the presence of another person. If you're feeling anxious, is it because of something in the relationship or something deeper within you? If you're feeling irritable, is it because of your partner's actions or an internal struggle you haven't addressed? When you're single, there's no one else to project your emotions onto. You have to sit with them and figure out where they come from. This process can be uncomfortable, but it leads to immense personal growth. You start to recognize your triggers, the wounds you may still need to heal, and the emotional patterns that might have influenced past relationships. This kind of self-awareness allows you to work on yourself in ways that make you not only a better future partner, but also a stronger, more emotionally intelligent person overall. Extended singleness also forces you to confront what you truly want in life. Separate from societal expectations or external pressures, many people move through life checking off boxes, get into a relationship, get married, have kids, follow the traditional path. But when you spend a significant amount of time single, you have the chance to step back and ask yourself if those are truly your desires, or if you've just been following a script that was handed to you. You start to consider what kind of life actually makes you happy outside of what others expect. Maybe you realize that you don't want a conventional relationship, or that you'd rather build a life focused on personal growth, travel, or creative pursuits. Maybe you find that certain traits you once looked for in a partner don't actually matter to you, while others, like emotional intelligence or independence, become non-negotiable. This clarity is incredibly valuable because it ensures that when you do choose a path, it's one that aligns with your authentic self rather than a path chosen out of obligation or pressure. Another unexpected benefit of deep self-awareness is that it changes the way you interact with others. When you know yourself well, you become more intentional about the relationships you build. You stop seeking validation from others because you already understand your own worth. You set healthier boundaries because you recognize what drains your energy and what uplifts you. You communicate more clearly because you know what you need and aren't afraid to express it. This kind of self-possession makes you more attractive, not just in romantic relationships, but in friendships, family dynamics, and even professional interactions. People are drawn to those who know who they are and stand confidently in that truth. The more time you spend single, the more you realize that true self-awareness is a lifelong journey. You're always evolving, always learning new things about yourself. But the difference is that you become more present in that process. Instead of looking to a relationship to define you, you embrace the ongoing discovery of who you are. This makes you more open to growth, more adaptable to change, and more secure in yourself no matter what life throws your way. Whether you stay single for a long time or eventually find a partner, the deep self-awareness you gain from this period of life will always serve you. It's the foundation for confidence, clarity, and a life that is truly aligned with who you are. Spending a significant amount of time single fundamentally reshapes the way you build and maintain relationships. At first, it may seem like being single means missing out on deep connections. But over time, you begin to realize that the opposite is true. When you're not tied to one person romantically, you have the space to form richer, more intentional relationships with others, whether it's with friends, family, or even yourself. You start to see connection differently, not as something that must be confined to a romantic partnership, but as something that can exist in many different forms. The result is that your relationships become deeper, more meaningful, and more aligned with what you truly need, rather than what society tells you is important. One of the first changes that happens is that you become much more intentional about who you allow into your life. When you're single for a long time, you're not forming relationships out of habit or obligation. You're forming them because they truly add value. You're not clinging to people just to avoid loneliness or to fill an emotional gap. Instead, you develop a stronger sense of discernment about who deserves your time and energy. You begin to seek out relationships that are built on mutual respect, shared values, and genuine compatibility. Whether it's friendships, professional connections, or potential romantic partners, you no longer settle for surface-level interactions. You invest in people who uplift you, inspire you, and bring real depth into your life. Another major shift is how you prioritize friendships. In relationships, it's easy to fall into the habit of relying on a romantic partner as your primary source of support, often at the expense of friendships. But when you're single, your friendships take on a new level of importance. You become more present in them, investing time and effort into nurturing the bonds that matter. You have more freedom to deepen your connections with a variety of people, rather than centering all your emotional energy on one person. Over time, these friendships become some of the most fulfilling relationships in your life, giving you a strong support system that exists outside of any romantic connection. This also makes you realize that love isn't something that only comes from romantic relationships. Friendships, too, can be incredibly powerful sources of love, understanding, and emotional fulfillment. Spending a long time single also allows you to strengthen your relationship with family in ways that might not be possible when you're heavily focused on a romantic partner. Many people in relationships unconsciously shift their priorities, sometimes spending less time with family as their partner becomes the center of their world. But when you're single, you have more space to connect with family members on a deeper level. You become more present in their lives, engaging in conversations, traditions, and shared experiences in a way that strengthens those bonds. This not only brings a sense of fulfillment, but also helps you appreciate the non-romantic love that has always been there. Perhaps one of the most transformative aspects of long-term singleness is the relationship you build with yourself. When you don't have a romantic partner to lean on for validation, comfort, or decision-making, you learn to become your own best friend. You develop a deeper sense of self-compassion, learning how to comfort and support yourself in difficult moments. You start enjoying your own company in a way that many people never experience. You find fulfillment in doing things alone, whether it's traveling, dining out, or simply spending a quiet evening at home. Instead of viewing alone time as something to be avoided, you begin to cherish it as an opportunity to recharge, reflect, and grow. As your relationship with yourself strengthens, you also become better at setting boundaries. You no longer tolerate one-sided relationships or situations where you feel drained. You recognize the value of your time and energy, and you become more protective of it. This means you're more selective about the people you let into your life, ensuring that the connections you do invest in are healthy, balanced, and mutually supportive. You become more comfortable expressing your needs and walking away from situations that don't serve you. This ability to establish strong boundaries makes all of your relationships healthier and more fulfilling, whether they're romantic, platonic, or professional. Another unexpected change is that your perspective on love evolves. When you've been single for a long time, you stop viewing romantic relationships as the ultimate measure of happiness or success. You realize that love isn't something that has to come from one person. It's something that exists all around you, in the people you care about, in the experiences you cherish, and in the way you show up for yourself. This shift in mindset allows you to approach relationships from a place of abundance rather than lack. Instead of seeking someone to complete you, you seek someone who complements the life you've already built. This makes you less likely to settle for unhealthy dynamics, rush commitments, or relationships that don't truly align with who you are. The longer you stay single, the more you understand that deep connections don't have to be confined to romantic relationships. You build a life filled with meaningful interactions, authentic friendships, and a strong sense of self-love. You no longer seek connection out of loneliness or fear. You seek it out of genuine desire. And when you do eventually choose to let someone in, It's not because you need them to complete you, but because they genuinely add something beautiful to your already full and vibrant life. Spending a significant amount of time single rewires the way you see independence, making it one of your greatest strengths rather than something to fear. At first, being single for an extended period can feel like a challenge, especially in a world that often glorifies relationships as the ultimate source of happiness and security. But the longer you remain single, the more you start to realize that independence isn't just about being alone. It's about learning how to truly stand on your own, emotionally, mentally, and practically. This transformation changes not only the way you approach relationships, but also how you navigate life as a whole. One of the most immediate changes is that you become incredibly self-reliant. In relationships, it's easy to divide responsibilities and lean on a partner for support in everyday life, whether that means sharing financial burdens, handling decision-making together, or simply having someone to help with the little things. But when you're single, all of that falls on you. At first, this can be intimidating, especially if you've previously been used to having someone else to depend on. However, over time, you start to realize just how capable you really are. You learn how to handle every aspect of your life without waiting for someone else to help you. You become more decisive because you're the only one responsible for making choices that affect your future. You figure out how to solve problems on your own, whether that's fixing something in your home, managing your finances more effectively, or making big life decisions without seeking external reassurance. Another major shift happens in the way you view personal freedom. Many people assume that being in a relationship means losing a certain degree of freedom, but they don't always realize how much they've sacrificed until they spend a long time single. When you're alone, you get to experience a level of autonomy that most people never fully embrace. You can travel where you want, live wherever you choose, and structure your days exactly the way you prefer. There's no need to compromise on life decisions to accommodate a partner's needs or expectations. This realization can be incredibly liberating because it allows you to craft a life that is built entirely on your terms. Over time, you stop seeing independence as something you're forced into and start viewing it as an incredible opportunity to shape your own destiny. Spending an extended period single also forces you to become comfortable with solitude, which is one of the most underrated skills a person can develop. At first, being alone for long periods might feel strange, especially if you've been conditioned to believe that happiness comes from companionship. But as time passes, you begin to understand the power of being content in your own presence. You no longer need constant social interaction or external validation to feel fulfilled. Instead, you find joy in your own routines, your personal hobbies, and the moments of quiet that allow you to reflect and grow. This self-sufficiency means that when you do choose to spend time with others, it's because you genuinely want to, not because you feel a desperate need for company. This deep appreciation for independence also changes how you approach future relationships. Many people enter relationships out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of the unknown, fear of missing out on companionship. But when you've spent a long time single, you don't operate from a place of fear. You know that you are perfectly fine on your own. So any relationship you enter into is based on genuine connection rather than a need to fill an emotional void. This makes you more selective about who you allow into your life. You no longer tolerate unhealthy dynamics, codependency, or relationships that drain your energy. Instead, you seek a partner who enhances your life rather than defines it. Perhaps one of the most surprising aspects of long-term independence is the sense of confidence it brings. The more you handle life on your own, the more you start to believe in your own abilities. You develop a quiet but unshakable confidence that allows you to walk into any situation knowing that you can handle it. You're no longer afraid of change or uncertainty because you've already proven to yourself that you can navigate life without relying on anyone else. This level of confidence extends into every aspect of life, from career decisions to personal growth, and it makes you more resilient in the face of challenges. Ultimately, long-term singleness teaches you that independence is not about rejecting relationships. It's about building a solid foundation within yourself so that when you do choose to share your life with someone, it comes from a place of strength rather than need. It allows you to embrace the freedom of shaping your own life, to develop resilience in the face of adversity, and to understand that happiness is something you create for yourself. And when you finally do decide to let someone in, it's not because you need them. but because you truly want them to be a part of the incredible life you've built on your own terms. The longer you stay single, the more you change in ways you never expected. At first, it might feel like something is missing, like you're waiting for the right person to arrive and complete your story. But over time, you realize that this phase of your life isn't about waiting, it's about becoming. You develop a deep self-awareness that allows you to understand yourself on a level most people never reach. Your relationships shift, becoming more intentional, more fulfilling, and less dependent on societal expectations. You learn to find happiness within yourself instead of seeking it in someone else. Your independence becomes your greatest asset, proving that you are capable, strong, and complete on your own. And that's the real transformation. You stop seeing singleness as a temporary state to escape from and start viewing it as an opportunity to build a life that is truly yours. When you do eventually choose to let someone in, it won't be out of fear or loneliness. It will be because they genuinely add something to the incredible life you've already built. The longer you stay single, the more you realize that happiness, love, and fulfillment were never things you had to wait for. They were always within you, waiting for you to embrace them fully.